There we go. It's fine.
Cool.
Hello, you are listening to the C Squared podcast with Holly and Effie. Yes, we are back. And we are here today with the lovely Maria from Future Palace. So thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, it's just wonderful to have you.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Love having a lot of time and screen time to talk about our music. That's really nice for us. So thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations, because you just released your second album.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
Feels good. It feels crazy. It didn't even feel real for the first album. It's like it's so much like work, and you just forget that at some point it's gonna be released because you keep working on it. You keep working on it like daily, and yeah, it feels so good to finish something. It's such a nice feeling, and it feels like having two children. That's how I would describe it. Even though I don't have children, but that's kind of how it feels. Like you feel pretty proud, but they're like different, but you love both of them, and yeah. So we just gave birth, basically.
It was very quick. You released Escape in 2020. So, 2 years later, you already have another album. That's a lot of work to be putting in.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's funny because now I need to take this reference again with the children. Our drummer, he just became a dad. So he basically got two children in this time. And I think that's what most people did in this time. They tried to make something nice out of it. And that's exactly what we did. We used this time as wisely and productive as we could. And that's when we just created Run, because it wasn't even a long thought. It was just like, okay, we can't play, we can't tour. Let's go on with songwriting. And of course, that's a little sad because all of us were really, really excited to go on stage finally. But I think it just all happens for a reason in the end. And I am really, really happy that I am now able to go on stage and even bigger stages with these new songs because they're 100% more us. And we like them a little better because they're just more present and we learn so much. And it's just a different thing. And I'm really, really happy that I can go on tour. I went on tour. Well, it wasn't with this album, but a lot of new singles off this album, and that all the future gigs are now with all these new songs included. And yeah, that's such a nice feeling.
Did you learn anything from your first album? And did you learn any lessons that you sort of took into making the second album?
Yeah, a lot of lessons. I keep mentioning that one thing was not there for us, which was the life experience. So we couldn't really adapt any song to that and just did what we wanted. But we learned a lot, I think, songwriting wise. We just got to know each other, and it was just so much easier and natural this time. And we didn't even meet for the songwriting process. We were separate most of the times. And yeah, it was like online, even though we live in the same city and not even that far from each other. But also because there was like lockdown, that was a reason. And it worked so effortlessly, I think. It worked really quickly. We had a bunch of demos. Some didn't make it, of course, on the album, but we had a bunch of demos and we liked most of them. And I feel like I personally got a lot better at songwriting. And I think also Manuel, or the guitarist, got a lot better at songwriting. And we just understood more how it works. And yeah, that's just a lot of lessons learned. Also production wise, I think the producers improved so much, because of course they had so many bands in between. They do it full time, and Chris especially, who's one of the producers, had so many different bands in between, and also did his own album and stuff. So I could tell that they improved so much in this time as well. So all of us were like, yeah, having or learned so much from that first album.
So you mentioned that this album was more you.
Mhm.
I noticed this album had a lot more harsh vocals on it. It felt a lot
Mhm.
heavier in a lot of ways, and also I guess more emotionally driven. Do
Mhm.
you feel that that is the natural evolution of your style? Do you think you're going to keep getting even heavier?
I'm not sure what the future will bring because we get new ideas and we're just gonna do what we like. But it is absolutely perfect fitting for the songs and the emotions the songs have. It wasn't a long decision if we're gonna do it or not. I just tried it and yeah, went on with it. I wasn't even that great at screaming in the beginning, but I just did it because I thought these sounds and songs need screams. And that's something I said actually yesterday, that I think Escape had a lot of heavy topics as well. But I wasn't ready yet to or I don't know, or I didn't even think about to convey these emotions 100% how they feel. And Run, I think, is so much closer to the emotion I actually felt, right, writing these songs, or what these experiences feel like. And therefore, yeah, I would say that that's a lot more authentic, or a lot closer to what these songs are about. And I don't think I'm gonna remove the screams in the future, but I don't know how I'm gonna use them. But I like using so many different stylistic options. I'm just open for anything. So I don't know what the next album or EP or whatever is gonna bring, but yeah, for Escape, oh my god, for Run, it felt really natural.
On the subject of bringing in all these different stylistic sort of inspirations, I think Future Palace is one of the most eclectic sort of sounds that I've heard. It's not, yeah, I mean, a lot of bands draw from pop, but it's you guys seem to draw from like electro and soul and a bit of jazz sometimes. Like, what were your inspirations growing up that brought this all together?
I think so many different inspirations. So first of all, we like 50-50. So Manuel has his inspirations and I have inspirations, and yeah, and I have mine. So he grew up, or he listens to a lot of 80s music. And what are they called? There's this like Spotify account that does like 80 remixes, and the Nightwish or something. No, I'm completely wrong. Oh my god, wait. What are they called? Something with night, and I keep
Is it Nightcore?
No, not Nightcore. I know what that is, but I don't know. But it's like a musician. He gets like guest singers on, and he does like mainly 80s. God, Night, which is that was so wrong. But that is like, yeah, he's like an 80s musician, but nowadays, and that's something Manuel listens to a lot, and also he listens to a lot of pop music, I know. But also he was all into like post-hardcore, metalcore music back then, and still now. And also I am. And I also love listening to 80s music a lot, but also music such as 21 Pilots, or like really modern rock music, I would say, and also like metalcore music as well. And I think we just had so many different influences, that I can't even say like one band really, because we were open to every genre. And I didn't listen to jazz personally, and we don't even really listen to electro also, even though we live in like the capital of electric music. Like Berlin is the electro town, city. But no, we don't personally listen to it actually. We just like the elements and like to stay open. I think it's more our producers who get these elements in there, especially Julian. He built like electro parts, and he's really, really good at that. And then we were like, yeah, that actually sounds sick. Let's just put it in there. And yeah, but I think the most electro I listened to was like probably the Bring Me the Horizon parts. And I'm not sure, hyperpop as well, like this genre that has also, it's not really electro, but it sounds kind of similar in some parts, because maybe it's a mixture of like pop and electro, and I don't know what else. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So a lot of different genres and things in the end, yeah.
This is kind of a weird question then, but when you're making your music and you're in the studio or you're working with producers, how do you make sure that the music stays like true to your core? Like that it's definitely your style, and how do you like retain that control over it?
Ooh, that is actually, you're the first one to ask this, so that is interesting, because that is actually a really not dramatic topic, but that's actually really important thing to us in the studio, because I think actually for Escape we didn't lose control, but we gave a lot of control to the producers, because we trusted them, because they were more experienced, and we were just two people, like, because Manuel and I read the songs, and Johannes, the drummer, he will check on the songs and say if something is unrealistic, or if he doesn't like it, he will say something on about this too. But mainly the creative process is me and Manuel. Also in the studio, it's mostly us. And at the beginning for Escape, it was a lot more with Chris. He even changed vocal, like the chorus completely, and that was really weird for us in the beginning. We're like, what are our songs not good enough? And you have to really trust someone to do that, and you have to really get your pride away and think what's best for the song. In the end, you always have to think what's best for the song and never for your like pride or ego or what else. And yeah, we learned that. And for Run, it was really different because a lot of things stayed the way they were in the demos, and that was really nice to us, because that's why I also say it's a lot more us. There's less things changed, especially vocally. Of course, the lyrics mostly 100% stayed the same, and even the melodies 100% almost stayed the same. And I was really trying to get my ideas even more into this album, because for Escape, I feel like production-wise, I couldn't influence that much, but for Run, I influenced a lot more, I think, and pre-built it in the demos and said, look, this is my idea. Could you do this like in a professional way? Because it sounds like shit when I do it. Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, this, but better, but make it nice. And that's what we did so much more for Run. We had so many more 100% ideas that we wanted to be translated, not changed. But that we were also doing compromises once in a while. And there were even discussions, especially with Manuel and Chris, with like chord changes. Sometimes we discussed for almost an hour or even two in between if we were going to change one chord in the chorus. That was a dramatic discussion. That got a little, not heated, but everyone was so emotional about it. That was so funny. So yeah, that is a really, really important thing while being in the studio. We tried to keep everything the way we wanted mostly, but also we always made sure what's best for the song, and you still have to trust your producer and then make a compromise in the end. And I think we managed to do this really well with Run. And yeah, a lot more of our ideas and a lot more things stayed this way for this album.
So after you released Escape, like a couple of those songs ended up on like Spotify curated playlists. Did that make a big change? Did that bring in like an influx of listeners and followers?
Yeah, I'm not the pro about playlisting. I think that's 100% Manuel. He's like playlist pro. He has like his own playlist and stuff like that. And both of the guys are really like analytic about that stuff. They check it like almost daily, what playlists we're on. I'm like, whatever. I'm just happy. I'm like the more artistic person, I think. And that absolutely changed something, though. I learned a lot more about it as well. Before releasing my first songs with Future Palace, I wasn't aware how big of a deal playlists are, honestly, because I personally don't really listen to playlists. I just listen to the Release Radar, Daily Mix, and just things like that. But I don't actively follow metal playlists and stuff. And that's why I thought that people don't do it. I just wasn't aware of how big of a deal this is. And when we got our first like editorial playlist, a lot of things changed. Yes, obviously that was a big game changer for us, and now it still is. And it plays a really big part of who we are and who listens to us. That's really cool.
Do you think that it built up an expectation for you when it came to time to release the second album? Were you worried that what if this is going to let down all these new fans who came for, what is not as heavy, because the first album isn't as heavy? Were you worried that they wouldn't like how heavy the new album is?
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't know what to expect, but we knew we like it, and we felt like it didn't feel weird or forced or anything, because it wasn't forced at all. It was just natural, and screaming was always a thing I was able to do, but like not as well as I do it now, because I never did it so much. That was also my first time ever screaming this much, but it just felt so natural because we come from this background, and it didn't feel weird or forced, and we were just hyped to release them because we liked the songs, and we didn't really care at that point anymore if people are not gonna like it, because we liked it a lot and we were confident releasing them. Especially Paradise was the first one. We're like, yes, we need to release this. We just think it's cool. But of course there was this kind of fear if this is gonna work, but actually it was the opposite, that we were more scared with songs like A World in Tears, which was in between a soft song, because we're signed at a metal label in the end of the day, and it was more weird for us to be signed there with Escape than it is to be signed there with Run. And it just made sense. It was like, yeah, now it makes sense that we're signed here, and we think the crowd, the audience of A Rising Empire, especially, is gonna like the change. And that's what it was. It helped us to grow way more now. And I think people are even sad when there are no screams on the songs now. So opposite now. It's crazy.
No, I thought it was very strong. I mean, like I said before, the reviews have been just overwhelmingly positive for it. Have you received any negative reviews?
Actually, not about the screaming. No, not at all. I didn't even think about it. I think there might be people who don't like it, probably. I think one said, I think at some video I said it sounds like she's vomiting, but they wrote it in Japanese, and I translated and I laughed so loud. I'm like, what? It was just funny to me, because like I can imagine that if that's your first time hearing screams for you, that you could think it's like vomiting or something. But I feel like most people who don't like it, they don't like screams in general, or like hard music. But so far it was really positive. That's really cool, because I was not sure if I'm actually a good screamer or anything. I'm just impressed, or overwhelmed that people actually like it. That's really cool.
When you were getting into music, like how long have you been? Because obviously Future Palace has been going for a few years, but presumably you were into music before that.
Yeah, I was in a band for 8 years before that, and I studied music before that. And yeah, I was all into music already, as you could. I didn't finish studying music, but I studied it for 1.5 years, I think. 3 semesters, I don't know. I think that's 1.5 years. And I knew already that I wanted to make a living from music. I'm still not there, but we're working towards that. And that's my life goal since many years. I think actively, really actively, since I'm 16. I was like, I really want to live from music. That is my goal. I don't know what else I want to do with my life. That's why I'm here. And I wrote my first songs when I was 12 already. And when I was a kid, basically, with my acoustic guitar. And I kept going. And my first real English songs, I think, were written when I was like 14. I had my first gig with the old band, with my songs, with this band. And yeah, I was able to learn so much, because I wouldn't be writing these kind of songs now if I wouldn't have experience. And also with this language, I had a lot of English experience, and I think also studying it for 1.5 years really finished it, or gave it the finishing touch. And finally, after I quit music and I thought like, oh, what am I gonna do now? And my now current band is not really going forward. That's when I met Manuel and Johannes. Like, it was like destiny. Honestly, it was like law of attraction, something. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it was honestly like something magical the universe sent me. And we met, and everything was 100% what I needed, what I wanted. And I was able to just use everything I learned from school and my years of experience to go 100% with Future Palace. And that's where we are now. And I think everything was perfect timing for all of us.
I don't know if this is a weird question, but why English?
Because that's something, it's funny, because my nephew just asked this. My nephew just asked why I'm not singing German, and I responded, because I want the whole world to understand what I'm saying. And that's pretty much the answer.
Is it weird? Like, because obviously English grammar is very different. It's pretty different, and our rhyming, like a lot of our words look like they should rhyme, but they don't, because it's not a phonetic language. Was it hard to learn to write lyrics in English?
I think I'm still learning, because it's not my mother tongue, obviously, but I think I have an advantage because first of all, in school I did English for a really long time. I did like A levels. I'm not sure how it's called in every country, but I did A levels focused on English. A lot of writing and analyzing texts and doing like professional English, and introducing me to new grammar types that you wouldn't learn in the basic German school. So I had English a lot of times in the week that I was confronted with. Then I had 2 relationships fully in English. And then I have siblings who grew up or were raised in America. And for example, my brother came to Germany when he was 12 and couldn't speak a word German. And I taught him German when I was 8, and he taught me English in a different way than I learned it in school, because we talked English every time we met, because he couldn't speak German. Now he can. But so I was confronted with English so much in my life, and I think that helped me because I didn't even just learn it in school and like theoretically, but I used it so much practically in my life and even emotionally with relationships. That is insane. That really taught me a lot because I did it every day. And then when you're angry and you want to say German curse words, and then you're like, I have to say it in English now. And I think that really, really helped me. And then also while studying, I also got English classes. So I learned a lot of English. So therefore, it feels not new to write songs in English, but it's still not easy. And I judge myself so hard on my songwriting. And always when I present it to someone whose native language is English, I'm like, don't judge me, please. For example, my sister, her native language is English. And she also is the only person to say, you sound really German when you talk English. Because everyone there was like, you sound so good for a German. She's like, no, she sounds super German because she knows German. It's so funny. And or also my brother will always judge me until the day we die, the way I speak English. And yeah, I showed her like lyrics once in a while, asking her, is that even correct? She's like, yeah, sure. And but there might be probably also things that make no sense to others. And I will not be able to correct it because it's not my mother tongue. Yeah. But yeah, it feels natural still. Somehow.
Well, to be honest, reading the lyrics, you wouldn't be able to tell that you weren't a native English speaker.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear.
You have better English than a lot of native English speakers, I'm sure. Holly would agree with me on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to be as correct as possible. And also Manuel, like we translate our own promotion texts, which are really, really hard, I think. And he has a doctor in history. So he went through a lot of education. And I think he's also really, really good at English. And he will also, or both of us, I think, are similar with English. But he has like this professional English. He had to learn a lot more than I had to. And he will also once in a while help with like, we even make sure our Instagram captions are like correct with the grammar. And he will make sure if we use capital letters there and how we use signs in the sentence. And I just learned a lot of the grammar and I try to make it logical and correct all the time. And that's so nice to hear. So nice to hear.
Was it English artists that inspired you early on to become a musician, or was it German artists, or?
Absolutely English artists. I don't really like German artists mostly. I like a few, but mostly no. I absolutely like English artists. My first artist I fell in love with when I was like 12 was Avril Lavigne. Yes, she's, I don't know, I just loved every song and I knew how to sing it and I learned it on the guitar and I just absolutely loved her, adored her. Then of course Paramore, Panic at the Disco, Linkin Park, all that good stuff was something I was listening to. Oh, My Chemical Romance, I just saw them yesterday for the first time. Oh my God, that was amazing. I was crying. I was like, they don't know how much they did to me, like how much they influenced me and inspired me. But yeah, all these good artists, or like 21 Pilots, as I said, later on in life, on 30 Seconds to Mars, it was all English artists. And I think that will also be one big goal for me to play in the USA for the first time. That's going to be a really, really big goal for me because it means so much to me and also I think us, because I feel like most artists that we really, really, really like and that inspire us are from the USA or like Australia and so on. But yeah, really obviously.
Does it feel really weird to you then to think that these are the bands that inspired you and now you are the band that is inspiring some 11-year-old out there?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's actually a thing. I still don't understand how I would actually influence anyone or if that's real or not. I don't think it didn't reach me yet. And I don't think we're that big. I can't believe that there's probably an 11-year-old feeling the way I felt about Avril Lavigne because she was so much bigger already back then. And but yeah, that might be the thing. And also when I was on tour, I just noticed that we actually have fans. I didn't believe it before. I didn't know how many people. didn't believe it because it felt so unreal, because that's everything I ever wished for in my life.
Hi.
And I don't know, yeah, it's weird, right? I'm acting like everyone is like lying to me or something. It's so weird, you know? But I think it will become more of a reality the longer I notice that the people won't leave, you know? It's not like a thing of a week, but if people actually stay and this keeps growing, it will probably reach me at some point. But yeah, the tour did so much already. I was actually having a positive panic attack when we had our first gig. And there were just 80 people waiting for us. But that after 2 years, and that was our first time doing a headline tour. And I was like, how are there 80 people trying to, like, wanting to see me now? And everybody knew me and everybody was watching me. And I'm like, what is happening? That was honestly because there was no gigs in between releasing Escape and then releasing, I don't know how many singles we released, I think 4 or 5 before our first headline show. And I was like, whoa, that was like a movie. That was like real Hollywood shit. And yeah, that felt absolutely surreal. So it will take some time until I will understand what's happening.
Are you planning to tour again now that the album's out?
Yeah, absolutely. We will absolutely do a tour playing Run. We don't have any correct plans or when we do it. I think probably next year would make most sense, because we had a lot of touring this year. We're gonna go on tour again in August with Battle Beast. We will play at Full Force next week, and then in Sweden the week after that, which I'm really excited for as well. My first ever festivals. Not only to be played, but that I visit. I've never been on a festival. So yeah, I really hope that we can have a really nice, cool tour for Run. And I'm excited. I don't know how big it's going to be or what's going to happen next. We're just here to see what's going to happen. Yeah.
What do you think has been the biggest, like the one thing that's like helped you along the way?
You mean to grow or to
get to the point musically and, you know, like influence wise where you're at? Like, what has been your big thing that you kind of needed, that you wouldn't be here at this point if you hadn't had it?
I think Manuel and Johannes, to be honest, because you can, I don't know, I'm gonna compare it to my old band, and not to shade them, because we were really young and kept going for like 8 years, which is a long time for young people. But since I met Manuel and Johannes, everything changed music-wise, and probably also because I studied it and so on. But both of them have so much discipline. That's insane. They have more discipline than I have, I think. But they inspired me to work harder, even harder, because I didn't know. I had the will and motivation to do so, but I didn't have the ways, and I didn't know what to do and how to structure. And I just had my ideas, and I think together with them, we just balance each other out perfectly, because they are really work driven. And especially Johannes, he's a booker. He works as a booker, and for a big company here in Germany. They do the Hurricane Festival and stuff. So that is such a huge advantage for us, because he's our manager now, and he taught us so much about this industry. He knew so many people already and could tell who are like the cool people and stuff. And they had focus what to do. He knew what to do, what steps to follow. And I think we call him our band daddy, because he's in two ways. He's a real daddy. He became a real daddy, and he is the band daddy because he kind of shows us this industry, and we are like more the creators, the artistic people. And also he's also really creative. But yeah, honestly, I think it's all of us together who help each other, because we work every day for this band, and I'm not exaggerating it. We work every day for this band, and put so much hours in there without earning money in the beginning. We didn't earn anything from it. In the opposite, we lost a lot of money, but we had so much passion, and that just really made it. Honestly, we're the perfect. There's the perfect combination. That's also why we don't have any other band members, because all of us, we give 200%. And I'm just so happy and thankful that I met both of them, because honestly, it is the hardest part, I think, to find people you could actually work with, because there's always somebody who won't do as much as the others, or who suddenly has something going on with their life. But all of us really prioritize the band so much that it just works so nicely. And that's lucky. That's just lucky.
Are you comfortable with saying how much money you spent on your first album?
Oh God, I don't even know. I honestly, that's probably Johannes would be able to say that in 1 second, but I was like, I don't even want to know.
I
I'm not
feel
sure,
it.
but I think it's probably over 10,000 or something. I don't know, but I'm not sure. But I think yeah, it's the first album was around 10,000 euros, I think, but I'm not sure. And that was the low budget version.
Yeah, I was going to say that's remarkably well done for that.
Because studios are not as cheap and they've become even more expensive now. And we were working, Manuel and I, at that time, he couldn't find, I think he still was working on his doctor or something. And I just quit studying. And we both, that's no joke, were working in a bookshop 40 hours a week and just full on that. On a, what is it called? As cashiers, pretty much. That's all we did. As like Christmas, we just helped out for Christmas. That's why they took us in. And we just did that for 2 months to be able to pay the studio for our first songs. And we were actually working, in a bookshop together, both of us. And I'm like, what is our life? And then the only time we had a day off, we went to the studio and we didn't basically have days off. Still, I didn't have vacation really. You barely have vacation because most vacation, because we have to work, is for the band. And that's something you have to be willing to do. You have to be crazy to do it. And but it's worth it. And it's worth it. And I'm happy that we're now at a state that at least we don't have to spend money from our personal money, because that was not that easy, because I was really doing everything. And I was really, really unhappy because I kept working random jobs. I didn't even have time to change the job, to think what I'm going to do after quitting my studies. And now I'm in a better position and I do a better job and stuff like that. That fits so much better with doing music. But back then it was actually really, really, really hard. It was really hard, but absolutely worth every second and every decision. Yeah.
Oh, we're
If there's
running out of
any-
time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there any
if you wanna-
advice?
if there is anything else you would like to add, Maria, that would be, please go
Advice
ahead.
for
Anything you would like to plug, anything you'd like listeners to hear, go for it. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a dream, I'm not going to say that as cheesy, but because I think I haven't reached what I want to reach yet. But if you have a dream, just go for it. And sometimes you don't know the way or the people yet. But I think if you really want something, don't let yourself down. Just believe in yourself, because I'm already at a point that I never thought I wanted to reach, but I didn't know how. And I didn't know if I even had the power and the people or anything. And I didn't have money. Honestly, I didn't have money. Look, I just bought this microphone last year. I finally had money for a microphone, and we did everything so cheap for the first demos before we went in the studio. And we just saved our money for the studio, and it was worth it. And if you want something, you will find a way. You will always find things that don't work, but you have to find the things that might work, and that's probably, what I'm going to share with the people as a positive note. And I hope that if you listen to this album, it can help you and inspire you, that because we honestly came from nowhere and nothing. And now we're here already, and that's so nice. And I'm excited what the future will bring. And we're planning big things, and I hope we will reach them. So yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Really nice new question.